Welcome back to the lab, everybody. I'm Chris. This is Mike. Once again, we're sponsored by Lou's Brews, cold brews, sodas, and good to be back. We were gone for a minute. We're back. We're fresh off our paranormal investigations, which I think went very well. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I think it went well.
Right?
I think it went well. So we took the lab on the road.
Yes, we did for the first time.
Took the lab on the road, and we went and did a little paranormal investigations.
It was a lot more exciting than I thought it would be.
You didn't think it was? Really? Yeah. You thought it wasn't going to be exciting?
I had my doubts. We'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Oh. Did you?
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Trump's head is being smashed over there in the camera.
Oh, no.
Can't have it in your face.
There we go. We're going to have to get back to the politics at some point because there's all kinds of tarts out there acting dumb.
Out of control.
Burning cars and stuff because they can't handle life.
Yeah.
What happened to him? Why is he all flat like that?
Oh,
he's better.
Hey.
There he goes. So the lab went on the road, and we did our paranormal investigating. And I'll just say this, that it was I thought it was fun for one. I thought it was something.
Oh yeah, it was fun.
It was fun.
It was fun. It was definitely fun.
And I'm sure people want to know if things happened, and I will say yes. There are some things that happened. One thing specifically, but we won't get into that quite yet. And that's something that happened to you.
Some people say unfortunately, but
we'll get there. We'll get there eventually with that. But where did we go? We went to the Burlington County Prison Museum in Mount Holly, New Jersey.
Yeah, what about that? 50 minutes, an hour?
A little over an hour. It's like a straight run down the turnpike for the most part.
Wasn't a bad ride.
No.
Wasn't a bad ride.
You get off exit 5, and then you're on 541, and you head towards Mount Holly, and it's on the same road. So it was easy. We were there from, I guess we started about 6:30.
6:30.
I guess we buggered out about 11:30.
Yep.
We had it from 7 to 12, but
the whole prison.
The whole prison. It was ours, and it was just us. Well, it was just us and our wives.
Yeah. Which I'm very proud of. They stuck it out. They did a good job.
I thought they were a little weak, but
they were nervous.
Yeah, they were.
They were nervous.
They were very nervous. But the Burlington County Prison, and we got a little bit of history here for you.
You know what? Before you start, I just can't believe it's in the middle of like a populated area like that. It's just right there.
Well, you got to think that.
Well, back in the day,
time has built up around it.
Right.
You know, but back in the day, it was probably nothing else around.
Like standalone by itself, right?
Yeah, I would think maybe a few, stores or something. I think downtown Mount Holly might have had some stuff, but you got to think there's no roads. It was all just like dirt roads for horse and buggy type of shit.
That looks like it would be surrounded by that, right?
Yeah, but this prison was built in 1810. It opened in 1811. And it closed in 1965.
I can't believe that was in use until 1965.
And you know what? I think we screwed up, or I think I screwed up in the video. I think I said something that wasn't right, but it's at the time that it closed, it was the oldest prison in the United States. I don't know if I said that, or I think I might have said something wrong in the video. Well, you'll see it in the video, and you'll see it's wrong. But the point is that it was the oldest prison in the United States when it closed in 1965.
1965, I mean, it's a while ago, but it's not forever ago. You know what I mean? Like, I can't believe people using that in the 50s and the 60s.
It's a small prison. I forget which
it's a cold.
Well, it's like a big chunk of cement.
Yeah, I think
it really
built
is.
Well.
But the woman who showed us around at first, who was there,
Grace.
I forget what she said about how many beds and stuff.
It wasn't many.
It wasn't many at first.
Right, it was like 24 or 25 or something like that. Then they...
But then they started like doubling up and tripling and putting like 4 and 5 to a cell. So by the end of its run, it had like over 100.
Yeah.
For something that was probably only built for about 40 or 30.
And they used to put 2, 3, 4 prisoners in each cell.
Yeah, they'd fill a cell up.
And they were tiny.
4 or 5, whatever. Yeah, so I don't remember the exact amount there.
Each cell had a fireplace, though.
Not all of them.
Oh, not all. Oh.
Not all of them.
Like Death Row didn't, right?
Death Row was called a dungeon.
Right, they didn't.
No, it was not.
They didn't even have a bed. I don't think. They chained him to the floor.
They chained him to the floor, which you'll see in the video.
Jesus.
It's a museum, so there's signs, and they had a couple statues to mimic prisoners, or So they have a guy chained to the floor in the dungeon. And the dungeon was when you got sentenced to death. You would go there, and you'd only spend maybe a day or two, and then they'd go and whack
They'd walk you outside. And...
Well, they did that a little bit. So this place does have a lot of history, obviously, since it's so old, and a lot of people have been through there. And there were murders in the prison.
Yep.
And they did execute there. There's a gallow. Is that called a gallow?
Gallows.
Gallow or gallows?
I thought it was called a gallow.
Gallow pole?
Gallow.
I'm thinking Led Zeppelin, the song. Gallows pole.
I think it's called a gallow.
Anyhow, it's a thing where they hang people, but they have one out in the exercise yard of this place, and it's not the real one. It's like an identical. It's a replica of what it was back in the day. But so, what they used to do is, and then I'm just going to read this right from one of the websites, is in Burlington County, death was abolished in 2007. 45 people were sentenced to death by the courts in Burlington County, and then legally executed.
That's over the course of the prison's life, or is that...
Yeah, kind of. So it says like the first.
That's not that many.
The first 32 were executed by hanging. It's not all of them. It's not all at the prison.
And you heard what they do, right? To hang them. Remember what she told us, Grace?
Well,
if they legs.
If they don't hang.
If they don't hang properly, they jump on their legs
and hang them and
pull
kind of really give them a good pull.
Nice tug.
So 32 were executed by hanging in or near Burlington City prior to the prison. All right, but so it says the next 7 were hanged in the prison in the exercise yard. So there wasn't that many hung
in the prison.
Yeah. The next 2 were incarcerated at the Burlington County Prison, but hanged in a meadow in Hainesport, which is down the street.
Right.
The next 7 were hanged in the exercise yard of the Burlington County Prison, and the last 4 were executed by electrocution in Trenton. And the crimes ranged anywhere from burglary, horse theft, rape, treason, home invasion, and highway robbery. I don't think you got hung for all that, but
there's got to be more.
That's kind of what the crimes that were happening back in the day.
And I didn't know you went to jail back in the day for being in debt.
Yeah.
So
that's another thing. They have a
debtor's
room.
Yeah. Cell.
Well, they had that.
Oh, in the room. That's right.
They had the debtor's cell was like minimum security.
Right.
That had a fireplace in it, so families would be thrown in there. And apparently, I think what she said, the woman said that they were allowed to come in and out of their cell.
Right. They were free to walk.
But down the hallway, there was a room separate where it was like a debtor's room, where like if Chris owed me money or his family owed me money, I would show up at the prison into this room. They would come in, their family would come in, and I guess they would wheel and deal and negotiate money, or maybe try to pay me off what Chris owes me, or maybe we'd work on getting his sentence reduced or something like that.
But there was also, you can work in the prison to make money to pay off your debt as well. Remember that room with the way they were doing the work with the saws and all that?
Oh yeah.
So you could work and try to pay off your debt and get out of there sooner than later.
Yeah. But, so there was all that. There were a few murders. One was the cook, which I don't know much about, but apparently the cook, I don't even know the years.
He got whacked.
I think it was prior to 1900 he got.
Yeah,
he was an inmate, the cook, and he got whacked by another inmate. And so we were in that cell. And then there was another guy named William Harry King. He was a day warden, and he got killed in the prison in 1920. and he was killed by. So this is where I had to look this up,
Right.
Because what we had heard, I don't think was completely accurate from what I've pulled up. But anyway, this guy did die in the prison, did get killed by an inmate. The inmate had delirium, and apparently, this warden was trying to give this inmate some his medicine or something like that. So I guess he popped the door open, and this guy came out. And the story goes that he was trying to kill someone else, but the warden kind of got in the way.
Okay.
But this guy, this inmate with delirium, had a fireplace poker.
Oh.
Just,
right where we were standing.
I don't think it was there. Because
Really?
it said, because this is where I think she might have been a little off, because it says a cell. There was no cell there. Unless that
There
was a
was.
cell.
Remember, she said there was a door. Now it's a window. She said that was a cell.
Well, that would have been an outside wall, though. There would have been a door there, though.
No, that was a doorway to a cell.
To another cell?
Yes.
Well, the cell doesn't exist
Where
anymore.
that window was a doorway to a cell.
Yeah, but that just led to the outside, though.
I don't know.
But anyway, yeah, that's the story, though. The guy apparently pokered him with and killed him, and then he spent the rest of his life in a mental institution. This guy who killed the warden, and then a dude called the Boston Strangler was in there.
He was in there, yeah.
And that guy was in the military, and he was stationed at Fort Dix, and he got arrested for something called carnal abuse. Do you know what carnal abuse is?
Something with animals or something? What is it?
I had to look it up. It sounds like more like pedophilia.
Oh.
He might have diddled somebody, diddled a youngin'.
Oh, my God.
Took his nurple out and rubbed it on somebody or something like that.
Oh, shit.
So he got arrested, and he spent only like a day or a night
Right,
there.
because the Army or something got him, right, or whatever it was.
He was stationed at Fort Dix in the Fort Dix military camp.
The military. And he served time, though, right? In the military.
I would imagine he did time, but when he got out, though, then he went to Boston and became...
the Boston Strangler.
Yeah, a hit song for the Rolling Stones, though. So.
Yeah. And that was early on.
That was... I don't know what years that was. I should have looked up the years on that. I don't know the years of that.
Yeah, that was early on.
When was the Boston Strangler? I don't know. I don't think it was that early on, because there's pictures of him, like jail pictures.
Oh, so
you know what I mean?
You have to...
You can look it up. But that's the Boston Strangler. So he did a little time there. And that's, so there's a lot of history. So, so what we're going to do is we're going to insert videos into here. And it might be a little hodgepodge and, shaky camera and a lot of that shit, but just deal with it. And you'll see some of the areas that we saw before we went lights out. So this was in the daytime, the first hour that we were there.
Mm-hmm. I will tell you this, I did have my doubts going into this thing. And if you have doubts about it and whatever, and you're interested in something like that, I suggest going to visit this prison.
Do you still have doubts?
No, but I'm trying to debunk things in my head since that day. And I just can't.
The one incident.
I don't want to give too much away, but
the one incident's is a little difficult.
Yeah.
The one incident, which we will get to.
Right.
Some of the other little things, you could probably make an argument, but I don't know. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
You know what's everything they said that usually happens when you're doing a paranormal investigation?
As I've told you numerous times, I've watched a lot of these videos on YouTube and stuff, and I've seen a lot of the similar.
Right.
And I thought they were hokey then. I don't know. We'll talk about it when we get there. But all right, so now we'll just we'll show the videos, and these are just going to be now videos of us getting kind of a tour before we go lights out. All right, so watch that right now.
Because we got two guys walking down here soon, so let's go. You good? Good.
Here we are, everybody. I'm Chris. This is Mike from the lab. We're here at the Burlington County Prison Museum.
Very haunted place, allegedly. Built in 1811. Closed in 1965. 1811, 1965. It's supposed to have a lot of paranormal activity.
Hopefully.
Our host in there is named Grace, so we're about to go in and meet her, so let's go. You can kill it. No, it's on. You're on. I'm on. Here's the front door, which I believe is all original. We're waiting on our host, Grace. And here's a little bit. There she is. There's a little bit of the inside. You don't mind being on the camera, right? All right. You're good. You're good. You're good. You're an Eagle fan, too, by the way.
Of course.
She knows. Grace knows.
From Mattawan.
Yeah, I know. So, hey, you guys all in here with your equipment? Yes.
Yep.
We're here.
That's it.
All right. You need tables, set it up.
I can
We have stands.
just my stuff right out of my bag. It's fine.
Okay. All right.
Is this a good place to leave my bag now? You'll be here though, right? The whole time?
Yes, I will not move from here. One lady came in here and she had like this little thing she could print out her pictures.
Oh,
on
yeah,
her,
yeah.
On her phone.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there and we're talking, and there was a cat toy. You know what the ones with the blinker thing?
Yeah.
Was here, and it rolled from here to there within 2 seconds.
Oh, wow.
We just looked at each other, said nothing. That was the only thing that this was in this room.
Is this
I
level?
don't think it's safe.
Okay, so this is not
Is
the
it
same
level?
place.
Yes, it should be.
All right. Yeah.
Our guys do it. They do it.
All right. All right. I'm always doubting stuff.
So.
All right. So that was one.
So what other
this is
crazy?
The oldest running prison, or was the oldest running prison in the United States.
That's pretty
125 years. Wow. 1810 till 1965.
Wow.
They had to close it because due to overpopulation. It was like.
When you think about it, 1811 to 1965. I mean, 1965 is not modern times, but we're getting it. That this is was actually the oldest running prison in the United States is kind of amazing in itself. Just when you think about like through the 30s, 40s, and 50s, I would think there would have been other places, but
World War II and all.
yeah, right.
So this was the architect Robert Mills. He was Scottish descent, hence around stones everywhere. I'm sorry, castle.
Okay.
And this was actually his first solo commission. He was down in Washington, helped with the Monticello, the Treasury, and so on, and a few other people. He married a woman from Pennsylvania that made him move up here, and then he took that, and the county hired him for plans, and he had 2 plans, this one and that one. This one was $600, this one was $300. They were cheap and said, we'll go with $300. Ahead of his time, he also believed in prison reform. So they all had, some of them, if you go through the back, they had bathrooms they can see, and they had a workroom downstairs that I'll tell you. Okay. This is the original key to that original door.
Wow.
Yes.
And that is all original.
This is all original. Yeah.
Wow.
We just had to add something because, this key, I don't know if anybody can pick it up and turn it over. So, by the way, this keyhole, and they shocked it up now, it's usually my peek hole because I'm too short to look through that other one.
But the main people, that was always there too?
I was always saying that I can show you later on the year on the clock. This is early pictures. The whole thing should have cost about $10,000. In a true county fashion, they went over for $25,000 and 200 to 145. When everything was said and done. Executions, there were a few people executed here, some of them, and usually the execution started outside the town. They started out with it. The first woman that was executed was Eliza Freeman. Was a woman, no differences here.
But she wasn't executed here.
No, she was executed outside.
But they did executions here.
Yes, they did as well.
When you say outside, what do you mean? Just another part of
Outside
town?
the town.
Why? Why would they do that? Do you have any idea?
Because, I don't know, there's a few thousand people that came. You bring a picnic basket, your blanket,
They made a
your
day out of
kids,
it.
and
Yeah,
make a day of
right,
it.
right,
They
cool.
was waiting there until you slowly
Wow.
strangled to death.
I always, all my weekends, I want an execution.
That was the modern, the tedious at time.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they made a spectacle.
And the reason she was executed is because she killed her husband. Both of them liked to tickle a little.
Yeah.
And he always got rowdy or violent when he was drunk. And finally she had enough of it, and he fell in his drunken stupor to sleep, and she cut him from ear to ear. That's how she got him.
Wow.
Okay. So here's a few pictures. They went to the jailhouse right around the corner, which is actually right here, but I think they went to town in Burlington. This one was This is the county hospital prison. You just see the top of it. That's the county building. And the walls are as they were. The prison has never changed as far as the circumference is concerned.
Yeah, I saw the jail vans when we rolled in.
Right. So This is was in Burlington, and they grabbed all what they had, their Bible, their blankets, their pillows, and their few books, whatever they had, and marched down the street, all the way up the street to Burlington to the other prison. That was in 1965. Okay. And then it took them a while to figure out what they're going to do with it. It was empty. They wanted to tear it down. People thought about it. And then later on, they reopened it for exhibits and tours. Okay. And,
Wow.
just to let you know, people coming in. The ghost hunters were here already a couple of times.
Mhm.
From
Wow.
TV there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never met them, but that's a story about the rock.
Yeah, they're the real deal, those guys, I guess.
So let's go on. I'll show you the door to this lock. Why did you lock it here? 1810, the lock was done.
Check it out. That's cool.
Anybody know why there's nail heads in here?
Let me guess. I don't know what to guess.
I usually ask that for general. The reason is, it was not so much that they were breaking out because they left
Right.
the door open, drunk people walked out, they knew they were going to be back next week. Everybody else was pretty much locked up. This was to keep the family members out because they wanted to free their people in here. The reason is, if the bread provider was locked up here, they were destitute. So they tried with axes to cut this, and that's how they started putting those door nails.
Interesting.
Oh.
Wow.
So you couldn't break
So you
the
couldn't-
door,
you couldn't
but
really
then
get
you
through
couldn't
it.
get
In,
You
right?
couldn't get in. Because even if you crack this, you're not, where do you
Right.
get, you're not
Right.
control
You
of
have
this.
to go through everything else.
And this, how was
That's a
Solid.
solid
Yeah,
wood.
solid door.
If you look at it,
That's all original.
That's all original. I mean, that's craftsmanship if it still sits down there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, you a small gentleman, can you put your hand up there?
On top of this thing?
Yeah. It's closed, right?
Is it what?
It's closed up there, right?
Yeah.
It's also closed down here. So how did they put that door on if you can't put it on the hinge?
Oh, you put this on?
No, this one. This
Oh,
was
on the door on the
This was
hinge.
actually a lock.
Oh.
Over there.
Well, this is into the wall. I mean, somehow you can get this up into this, right? And this
Right.
down onto that.
Yeah, but how?
We'd have to do it one at a time somehow.
No, they put them in the wall first because the walls are up to 2 feet thick.
They-
Then they put the door to the hardware.
So they put these
built
on first and then the door
yes.
on the.
It was all
Wow.
concreted in.
Wow.
So, and all the doors are like that. In the prison.
So there's like no real getting this off. That's just a security thing, right?
That's
And nobody can
crazy.
start hinging.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You can't just
If
pop
you
a
make
hinge
that
and
stair,
take the door.
You can't take the
So
doors
that's
off
the
the
hinges.
hinges.
This is also lockable because it used to be the private quarters of the warden. They used to live here. Now, if you go back in this room, because I forgot that, this is actually the reception. This was closed.
Cut. You don't want to kill
As you
someone.
came in here,
Uh-oh.
it's only out. So I figured I'd turn it.
Yeah.
Pull it down. This is the warden's house over here. So the warden could come through here, and actually that was his bedroom. Now it's the Prison Museum Association's office, and that's locked. I myself do not go in that tunnel.
What?
Bad enough that I have to put my hand in there and turn the lights on.
Wait a minute. What?
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
You don't like it?
Never heard a story about
Yeah.
it, but it scared the living crap out of me
Does
at
it?
first. Yes. Because when I
me
first
get
started
one.
here, it was like in the winter, it was already dark.
Oh, look, Mike.
I put my hand in there and I thought, anybody's going to grab me.
Oh, the thing is right there.
But still, I still get it.
The guillotine. Not the
Now, in the
guillotine.
winter, people like to go there, look out the window, because that's where the gallows are.
Yeah, it's right there.
They're too cold when they're coming out, but we will go and see them first up front and center.
So you never come in here.
This is the closest. I-
Why? Why again?
I don't know.
She has a bad, she's
Oh, okay.
bad vibes.
Bad feeling.
All right, I get that.
I mean, right now it's like, what do you
Really?
think? Yeah. I have no idea. I'm really not the scary
All right, I'm
guy.
busy right now.
What?
I do nothing. It's home drama I'm being thrown
So
with.
this is from 55 to the end, and you can see they got a little bit more cultivated. So they got
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
bunk beds, they got male
Oh, hello.
people, still had the fireplaces. But of course, 2 is an illusion because sometimes they go up to 5 minutes.
Up to 5?
And these are the.
And these are the doors that they had. See, back then, the wood probably wasn't good enough anymore, so they had to.
And look how they cut it. They didn't even cut this off. They just. It's big enough.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Now they also have a lot of graffiti up there.
Oh, yeah. Look at
Now,
that.
we didn't paint over all of them, but we
Look at
tried to
my
preserve.
That's the
them.
original.
Who did all that? Who?
I don't know, but it said
What did that
something.
say?
Al.
There's pictures downstairs. 'Cause when I came here,
Can't get out.
Is that what that says? Can't get out?
Yeah, can't get out. Something telling you.
For a good time, call. No. It doesn't say that. I'm sorry.
I'm not too sure to see. And this is the cook's quarter.
Wow.
So here, you could go in the morning in there and make breakfast for them. Or whatever he has to cook, like they got vegetables and potatoes and everything else.
That's where that dude
This
got
is what
whacked. The
The other
cook.
one there, yeah.
He get whacked over there?
No, I think it was right here.
Right in here he got whacked?
Followed him, yeah, he followed him, but the other one went
This
upstairs.
is what they slept on?
Well, they had a mattress, didn't they?
So it might have been the 60s. Remember that bed upstairs?
Yeah.
So that might have been from the 50s.
Oh, here's the kitchen. The actual, like, I guess where he made stuff?
Yeah.
The cook?
So they had like potatoes, once a week they got meat, and they had vegetables, because out in the yard they could grow vegetables. And then harvest them. Now we go to the last tunnel, and then we go through here. This again.
I have a feeling I'm going to hit my head on the wall one of these times.
Yeah, and there's not much here. That's the
So they're fixing this,
and
right?
the men's room. No, that is fixed.
This is-
But if you look at it real well, see that? There's
Wow.
concrete, cement,
Oh,
there's
this is-
horsehair.
Wow.
This is a working,
This is a working bathroom for the girls and for the boys. So there's the other one if you're down here. So
Okay.
I'm gonna let you know before it's.
So this is what's behind all the cement
This, yeah.
Would you say
That's
horsehair?
cement.
right here?
Yeah.
There's horsehair in
See
this?
that here?
Yeah, look.
Ew. Ew.
That's how
Look.
they found it.
Look at it.
Yep.
Plaster and horsehair.
Plaster, cement,
And
and
horsehair.
stone.
And stone.
Granite, actually.
But just look how they built into this thing. I mean,
Oh, I
it's
forgot to show you at the ladies' corner, there was the pinto hanging out there this deep.
wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So everything is so small.
A
Well,
little cozy, huh?
yes, very.
I forgot to also tell you the story, the floor upstairs, I don't know what happened, this is hearsay. Somebody during the day was here with her kids. Here with her kids, and started screaming, running out the door. Nobody.
my video on this one.
Oh, that's a pretty big backyard, here used to
Oh,
be a
nice.
summer kitchen. You can see the outside.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the fireplace, they could cook out here.
Were the prisoners allowed to come outside?
Yes, because there's no way out other than the door, and they use that to transport stuff in.
And that's where I was parked
And
earlier.
transport other stuff out.
That's where we were earlier
Yeah,
when I
that's
pulled
where
in.
we were. So now the rumor is that one of the gentlemen who were actually on the second floor, and the rumor is that he starved, that he could fit through the bars. He escaped twice before he got executed.
Oh.
They say he's buried in that corner under the tree. Now there's other voices. They say no, there's nobody there. But you know, we're talking history here.
Right. Why would they bury a prisoner on?
Down the stairs.
Oh,
What's that?
I put it to their feet.
That?
I don't know. I would ask
That's
her.
too heavy. How would you do that? That's the
So they hang quicker.
See what she said they did?
No, I'm going to ask her.
Yeah, if they didn't die, someone grabbed their ankles and just did that. Or grabbed their legs and pulled.
I knew that this was not a person was deceased.
you can see.
And he said, "Look at the white woman here. Look at the white woman here."
This is only a replica, so it's not the real thing, but they actually hung people here.
They can't go
So
nowhere.
somebody apparently is buried
And
under
we
this
have
tree.
concerts here, and we have Halloween parties here,
Yeah.
weddings here. Yeah, I mean,
Weddings?
weddings. Our county
I don't think there's anybody there.
varies people here. Everybody is like 20
There's a-
minutes. Sometimes they come in a whole regalia of Italian
I have a
wine
wider shot of this.
and blood and wow.
I'm going to take a photo.
And then you have the movies.
So I get ready.
And so there you go. So that's a quick, not the greatest video, but you get an idea of kind of what this prison looks like in the daylight,
Right.
before we go lights out, and that was courtesy of our tour guide, Gracie or Grace? Why do you keep calling her
Grace.
Who
Lovely,
she was?
lovely woman, German.
Yeah,
woman.
she was good. And
She liked that job a little too much. If you ask me.
I would listen.
I love this job.
I would probably like it too. No one's bothering her.
Yeah,
And everyone's all nervous and scared anyway. And
I wasn't.
but
You weren't.
I wasn't scared at all. But yeah, so that was it. So what we'll do now is so it's gonna be part one, and part 2 will be lights out, and so stay tuned for that.
That takes on a whole new life of its own.
Yeah, this
Lights out.
This is the warm up.
Yeah.
Like I said, but yeah, Burlington County Prison on a Saturday night.
Impressive.
Huh?
It was very impressive. Not just the experience, just how that place was structured. I mean, holy Jesus.
Yeah,
The doors and
yeah, you could see.
right. And then that one guy who, how the hell did he carve a hole in the ceiling to get out?
Oh, you know what? That was on. I read that too. There was several of them. I don't know how you bust through. The cement is ridiculous now.
It had to be 2 feet. Right.
I would think. I don't know how you break through that.
And then that one guy starved himself to fit through the metal window gates,
I
whatever.
don't even know how you do that.
He's-
Those things were tiny.
He got through.
I don't know how you do it.
2 of them were never found.
And then I don't know if it's on the video or not. It might be on the video. One of the videos. How about the guys? So there was women there in this place as well, and women did get executed
Families.
too. There was kids there as well, but in the men's section, in the men's room, these little horn toads
Little bastards.
drilled a hole in the floor because
Of the bathroom.
of the bathroom, because directly below it is the women's room, and they were doing like a Porky thing, peeping down to the broads down below in the shower, I guess.
Glory hole.
Taking a deuce.
Little glory hole in the floor. Wow.
Well, for
Who
the
knows?
eyeball, for the
For the eyeball,
Yeah.
That was crazy.
So yeah, these little horn. So there were horn toads back then, acting weird.
But back to the girl that went to jail for setting her house on fire or something. She was like 13 years old or 12 years old.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
And her mother didn't want her to be alone in there, so her mother went into the prison with her to take care of her.
Oh, where was that when that was going on?
I don't know.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
One. Yeah. So yeah,
There were families in there. It's crazy.
there's a lot of weird stuff. Weird back in those days, I guess. You gotta remember 1811. It started 1811.
And Jeff Z should know this.
Jesse's probably, if he doesn't know this, he's going to do his research because
He
he
should
probably
know
like this shit.
why those bolts are put in the doors back in the day. I didn't know it. That was crazy. I never thought of that.
If that's on video. I think it was on video, but I'm not 100%.
So they have these designs on the doors.
If it's on the video, here's your explanation. If it's not on the video,
right,
here's what you got.
So these big wooden, thick, what were you saying, 6-8 inches thick maybe? Like heavy wooden doors.
Well, this is the front, the door,
the main door.
original door to the prison is
Right.
still there from 1811.
Right. It's really thick. It has all these metal, I wouldn't say bolts. What were they, like tire?
No, they were like bolts.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. So these bolts, thick, big, thick bolts in like a diamond shape, and they were scattered about.
All over the door.
All over the door. So now Jeff C, if you noticed, you probably noticed. I did not know why they were put in the door, so Grace was nice enough to explain it to us. They couldn't saw the door to get the prisoners out if they wanted to escape or do damage to whatever the other officers on the inside. They couldn't saw the door.
I guess there was incidences back then where people were trying to break in and get their people out. So they put those bolts in the door so they couldn't like saw through or axe their way through the door because they'd be hitting on these little metal.
Right.
These little metal studs all over the door. And the door, yeah, would you say it was like this
thick? It was
thick?
thick. It was heavy.
Yeah, it's a big old heavy door. And they have the
original key.
They have the original key, which they don't use now. They had it on the wall, and it was like this big. And the woman said it's like you couldn't even hold it so heavy. The big ass skeleton key.
Back then, the warden lived in the prison. He had his own wing of the prison.
Yeah, you'll see in the next video. There's an area that you run around, which I guess where people used to live.
Down the warden's.
Yeah, down that hallway. So.
Not the warden or it was the warden, not the chief. It was the warden. The warden and his family.
I guess at some point, yeah. It was probably before that dude got killed because he's listed as a day warden, which would imply that there's a night one, so that implies that they would come and go. But I would, and that was 1920. He died, so I would think back in the 1800s at some point somebody just stayed there all full time.
Yep.
And that's what that was. So, but all right, so that's part one. Stay tuned for part two. That will be lights off. Ciao for now.
See you in the next one, folks.